Within the vast expanse of auditory exploration, amidst the myriad offerings of modern marvels, there exists a relic of antiquity that transcends the temporal boundaries of its vague inception, a veritable symphony of retro-futuristic allure. A vintage masterpiece beckons the discerning audiophile with its sinuous contours and timeless elegance. The HORNYPHON 6320. The HORNYPHON brand was originally conceived in Austria in the 1920s by, and you're not going to believe this, Friedrich Horny. The company's dwelling in Vienna was known as the Horny Radio House, where they produced radios and amplifiers. And in the 1930s, the Horny brand continued under ownership of the Dutch brand Philips. So this may be immediately obvious to some of you. This is exactly the same headphone as the Philips N6320. What's interesting about the N6320 and other Philips headphones of that era is that it uses an AKG driver, most likely a K40 or a K141 driver. As far as my 5 minutes of HORNYPHON research took me, it seems that Philips was reproducing their late 70s and early 70s Horny OEMs in Austria. I couldn't find any kind of relationship between AKG and Philips, so it's likely they simply sourced DNA from their closest neighbors at the time. These headphones were most likely produced in Austria, most of which were Philips branded and sent around Europe, but a few stayed at home in Austria under the HORNYPHON brand. At a glance, I would have liked to say that the build is nothing special since the headphone has no heft and no obvious metal parts. It's a fully synthetic construction, but it was clearly designed and built with care. The vinyl pads and especially the headband are both immaculate and plump. The plastic headband and adjustment sliders remain pristine and untouched by the ravages of time. As vintage headphones go, this is something of an extreme outlier. Even if it was stuffed deeply in a drawer for most of its life, there should be at least some hardening in the vinyl, or stiffening in the cable, or strain relief, and at the very least a fine powder coating from totally disintegrated earpad foam, which is, on the contrary, still soft and springy, which is nothing short of a miracle for a 50-year-old headphone. However, despite all the foam and lack of aging, that's where my praise ends. The inner ring of the vinyl earpads does not yield under the pressure of the headband, which makes quite a hard pressure point on both sides where they come in direct contact with my ears. As far as on-ear headphones go, these are some of the least pleasurable I have experienced. Unfortunately, both the pads and foam are glued to the baffle, so modifications for sound and comfort improvements are not possible. As I mentioned earlier, the HORNYPHON contains AKG drivers. These are, however, a far departure from the AKG house sound, which at the time was mostly mid-range focused with a hint of lushness. While the HORNYPHON mids still retain some of their AKG linearity and lustrous tone, there was an attempt here to tune a much bassier, warmer sounding headphone. The thick, spongy foam is the culprit here. While it is responsible for this slightly extreme bass response, it also totally masks the treble, throwing it 10 to 20 decibels down the drain, which only accentuates the bass further, leaving the impression of a vast lack of detail and sparkle. Even cranking the treble knob as far as it will go on my Fozzy Audio SK01 doesn't even come close to fixing this. The unusual size and shape of the pads also makes it difficult to achieve a proper bass seal. Everyone wants to own a headphone that makes you feel something. Maybe you want the music to touch you deeply, or it's the engineering and design that ignites your passion. The HORNYPHON will surely make you feel something too. Take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one.